Oh hey, NFTs and crypto art, a new way to make money as an artist, and I can sell my art in new ways I could never have done before? That's pretty cool. I should try it out.
Oh, NFTs are great if you want your art stolen.
Huh? What do you mean?
Like, people out there will steal your art. Therefore NFTs are stupid, and you are stupid for getting into NFTs.
What? You are going to get into crypto art? You're a bad person. Don't you know that crypto art is killing the environment?
But...
Murderer.
Haha, okay, get your art stolen.
You're killing the earth.
Lol, this guy made bank on a stolen art tweet.
Artists don't kill the earth. That means you're not an artist.
NFTs are a scam, man.
Am I the bad guy?
I've been delaying this video as the topics are quite controversial, but I felt that the topics have not been addressed as the arguments for both sides are often black and white. Artists tend to see in the full spectrum. With that in mind, I tried to make sure that I presented all possible sides. It is up to you to decide which way to go.
Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Rafael Grigor, and I'm a digital addict. So, that was a very silly intro, but it does give you an idea of what artists are going through when they talk about NFTs or think about going into NFTs, because I'm sure if you're looking at this video, you probably heard that perhaps NFTs are bad for the environment, or your followers will pressure you to get off or not take part in it. Some would even accuse you of being a terrible person for even thinking about getting into NFTs. And some other people will even comment that your art, it's a whole huge scam and that your art will probably get stolen. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing about the two different types of concerns of NFTs and my thoughts on each one of them, and discuss in a short amount of time if artists should take part in NFTs anyway. So let's get into this video. First part we're going to be talking about is piracy and art theft. Okay, so the first issue we're going to be talking about is piracy and art theft. So the issue is mainly art is being stolen and being sold as an NFT on marketplaces, and of course none of that profit goes to artists. And as you can see, the ABC from Australia and Vice has been talking about this. Now, the thing is, I actually don't really think that piracy and art theft is too much of an issue in terms of NFTs, because when you think about traditional digital art, which is stolen pixel for pixel, is actually quite difficult to govern in itself. Okay, fine, that's true, but when a digital art is stolen, the likes or the recognition goes to someone else. So, or if someone were to steal your art and turns it into fake merchandise, it's probably going to be difficult to stop them, as those bad actors are difficult to govern. For example, if you put a shirt out, someone else might steal your t-shirt design, probably make more money out of it. And if you do try to stop them, they might come up again somewhere else. And these guys are usually quite organized, and it's quite difficult to stop them. Now, here's the thing. NFT art is always linked to the artist, and the value of that art is because the NFT is linked to the artist in terms of the blockchain. So when an art is minted, you can see clearly where that particular art originated from. And the thing is, this person, if the buyer were to want to sell that art in the future, they might not be able to. And also, don't forget, artists don't really lose likes with pirated NFT art. And here's the thing, most NFT art collectors want to own art so that they can sell at a higher price in the future. Fakes make that investment worthless. And while art theft is a concern, I don't really see it too much as a concern for artists, at least with NFTs. So I actually see fake art as being more a concern for investors or collectors rather than artists. But there really are some caveats to this. Like, for instance, one of the issues is screenshotting. Now, screenshotting, sort of a legal gray area. If someone were to screenshot your art and they make more value out of it from the screenshot, and it's actually known as a screenshot because your name is there, but they put more value into the screenshot, then it's in that legal gray area. For example, over here, Thicc Pokémon NFTs. These guys literally just took Pokemon cards and they made their butts just bigger. That small change is what makes it so valuable, and people are buying it because it's so absurd. And Now, you might be thinking it's absurd that they're letting this happen. People are buying it because of that. But here's the thing: if you look at art history, there's this artist called Marcel Duchamp, and he created a piece of art where he took urinal, put that urinal in a gallery and called it art. And because of the PR buzz that came out of it is what made this absurd piece of art quite valuable, and it's being taught in art history. And another caveat or gray area is using photography references. So if you've seen the news lately, Andy Warhol, who was famous in the 60s for pop art, so the photographer that he referenced one of his arts from, they found it was recently decided that the Warhol Foundation can no longer profit from this art because it's too close to the original photographer's photography. Yeah, they ruled that it's not considered fair use. And here's another thing: maybe sometimes fakes even become even more valuable because, for instance, if let's say Elon Musk were to invest on a fake NFT, just because Elon Musk owned that fake makes that fake more valuable than the original, which was never owned by Elon in the first place. So here's the thing: in NFTs, whenever you sell your art to someone else or someone were to bid it, that transaction is always going to be there on the art. So you'll see whomever owned it, whomever bid on that art, and if someone like Elon Musk's name is attached to it, that gives that fake art more value. So the next one on our list is environmental impact and how expensive it is to the environment. Here's the thing: when NFTs made a big boom, quite a few articles out there started talking about the environmental cost of NFTs. But the one that really affected me was this guy. It's not an article, but it's one YouTuber I follow a lot, and he got into NFTs for a little bit. But as soon as he made the announcement and everyone tried to change his mind about it, he decided not to pursue NFTs. And what they're saying is correct. I feel like the information that they wanted to talk about more towards environment and didn't really give a more balanced approach to reporting on it. Now, let's talk about the negative arguments due to the environmental impact. Like I said, high energy. I'll recap how NFTs work. So NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are based on blockchain technology. These transactions are what is verified by a blockchain of computer nodes around the world. Those transactions, depending on the crypto, are often transparent and publicly available. The verification is a set of code and algorithms that require a lot of processing power to create. And when you have like a whole bunch of them all around the world, it also adds up. Now, once verification is done, every node gets a cut of the transaction fees, or in this case, gas. And in a cryptocurrency called Ethereum. And this is how nodes or miners make money, by selling their computational processing power.
I had a joke about how it was a smooth brain move to call transaction fees gas, and that it was asking for trouble with pro-environmentalists. But it looks like I was the smooth brain person here and the joke fell flat. Whatever, I'm editing it out.
This is just a really, really rough recap on how NFTs work. But if you want to see more about how NFTs work in general, I did a crash course on how blockchain technology works. Okay, so this is the negative argument. Energy is being used, there's more CO2 emissions being created. And the thing is, most of the blockchain nodes are in pollution-prone countries. So on the other side of the argument, the positive arguments that crypto enthusiasts talk about is this. So the first thing that they're going to talk about is the articles like the one above. They tend to cherry pick the data, and I kind of tend to agree with them.
I cut some rambling info about the book, How to Lie with Statistics. Basically, I argue that even hard statistics such as the ones presented will skew the data that favors the article's narrative. In my view, it's best to try to use this book to understand how data, even accurate data, could be used in an impartial way. I implore you to do your own research and make your own decision on the matter, though.
There's also information out there that 78% of crypto electricity usage is from renewables, and when I see information like this, I'm like, okay, so if it is on renewables, well, why are the people up here cherry picking on it? This article over here talks about it. Here's the thing, like if I go down here, I'm just going to skip a few points because countries like China and Europe are the fastest to adopt environmentally friendly, sustainable power grids. China's getting there faster than anyone else out there in the world. And the main argument that I've seen crypto enthusiasts talk about is new advancements such as proof of stake, which take up much less energy, and it's around the corner. It's supposed to be Ethereum 2.0. The other thing that is around the corner as well is advancements in computer power, such as Apple's ARM-based M1 computer processing, less energy intensive. So if you know anything about Apple's new M1 Max, they're able to process information faster while taking up much less energy. And here's the thing, because now that Apple's started doing this, it's gotten more and more manufacturers to start adopting ARM into their processing, and it's happening faster than I anticipate. Within the next 2 years, quite a few of the new processors out there will be ARM based. And now here's a really cool video by Max Tech, I believe, and he describes how lots of different companies such as NVIDIA or AMD. This is actually a really stupid, funny thumbnail, but NVIDIA and AMD and Apple are all getting into ARM, and they're signaling the death of Intel, who has not invested who has not at least told anyone that they're investing anything on ARM. So they're putting Intel in the grave. I recommend you should watch this video. It gives you a good idea of the tech. And a new announcement recently was that Amazon Web Services is starting to create more processors for their servers that's going to be based on ARM. I think that's pretty cool. Now, another positive argument that crypto art enthusiasts like to say is that, if you're feeling bad about carbon cost of NFTs, you can always do carbon offsets to mitigate the effects. And how carbon offsets work is that you can buy or make carbon credits, and these credits are verified by a central governing authority. And these carbon credits come from carbon positive companies who have an excess of carbon credits.
OMG, he's rambling. Here is better explanation. These offsets are the best way for companies or individuals to mitigate their environmental impact and hit carbon neutral goals. The theory is that not everybody is able to reduce their carbon dioxide emissions without negatively impacting people's livelihoods or the economic value of their activities. These credits help them reach those goals. How it works is that you buy offset credits from an accredited governing authority which has a portfolio of companies who have an excess of positive carbon credits. Some of these companies have other types of credits, such as those that help disadvantaged communities. Interestingly, you can even trade these offsets in a secondary market, similar to that of how NFTs can be resold on the secondary crypto market. Since there are not too many companies who have excess credits to give out, and with more pressure from the public, more and more companies and individuals with influence will use these credits in order to hit sustainability goals. These goals will become more mainstream and grow in demand, thus making carbon credits more valuable. As an artist, if you're feeling guilty about how art is traded like assets and makes you feel like you've sold out, maybe it will give you some comfort knowing that carbon offsets, a solution to help the environment, can also be traded to make people even more rich. Haha.
So, and many people will argue that platforms like YouTube, Netflix, or your internet provider all have servers who use a lot of energy. Though the thing is, many people justify these services because despite the environmental costs, they're still useful. But like I said, a lot of the servers that power Netflix or YouTube are transitioning to ARM within the next 2 years. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be moot in the future. And some people out there in the crypto enthusiast world like to throw out this conspiracy theory that, big companies want to slow down blockchain technology and prevent it from being mainstream because it will disrupt their current way of doing business. Yeah, probably. It depends on the company, maybe. I don't know. Now, the counterpoint to the crypto enthusiast argument is that, well, it takes too long, and it's true. It does take a long time. I mean, people can say that they're going to transition to more green technology in the future, but it takes a long time, and sometimes a lot of and the argument is that they need these results today, and the environmental impact cost is far too much right now to justify NFTs to be a thing. And their argument is just not to do it right now or do it ever. And also because the decentralized nature of blockchain or blockchain technology, crypto miners want higher transaction fees, and I believe that this will delay the adoption of cheaper mining or proof of stake, as I mentioned over here earlier, because they want to have those high transaction fees. So where do I fall in which spectrum do I fall in terms of argument? Am I pro environment or pro crypto NFT? I'm somewhere in between, like most people. I definitely want to keep the environment safe, but I also definitely want to benefit from future technologies such as cryptos and NFTs. What I believe is that the reason why NFTs get a bad rap is because a lot of people think that it's useless technology, and spending that much energy on art that used to be free in the past sounds pretty useless to quite a lot of people, and NFTs right now have been most popularly linked to digital art, which is considered frivolous and unnecessary. Like I said, digital art was once considered free, and the idea of it costing money makes people confused and uncomfortable. NFTs is linked to rich people getting richer, and it definitely costs way too much for the environment. And that's the reason why it gets a bad rap, is it costs too much for environment while not being of equal use to mankind. And most of all, people don't understand it. This is why I think NFTs get a bad rap. But here's the thing. I don't believe that the environmental impact costs too much, because NFTs have the potential to change human society. So yeah, my argument is that the environmental impact does not cost too much, and I think we should definitely pursue NFTs responsibly. I don't think we should stop NFTs because I believe it's not useless. Here's the thing, art gives people joy, like Netflix or Disney Plus, etc. People should pay for people's effort in terms of art. NFTs gives digital artists who are usually unfairly paid and could not really monetize digital art effectively. NFTs give them a chance to make an income from their art. The secondary market allows them to profit from the sale of their art after they've been sold, which is completely unprecedented. And just a recap of how secondary marketplaces work is that artist sells art to a buyer, then the artist profits, of course, but then the buyer sells to someone else. And in the past, it would just normally be the buyer who profits. But here's the thing, with NFTs, every time a new buyer, your buyer sells their art, the artist gets a percentage share of that, which is complete and no, has never been done before. And here's the thing, regular people like you and me are using the new opportunities that NFTs and crypto provides to get out of poverty and make a living, and regular people are making money out of it. So, and also new businesses and startups are emerging, giving society more jobs. Can you believe that this thing that a lot of people think is useless is giving more and more people new jobs? I don't see how anyone can argue about giving people work. For example, like shares in companies linked to NFTs, they're soaring right now. And examples of different businesses out there is like this company called OVR, OVR is a way for you to buy a augmented reality version of property. So you'd be able to, let's say, own the augmented reality version of Times Square. Engine is another company. It's a gaming company. I can go into that a bit more, but it's an interesting company. Ecomi, which is a company that sells NFTs of 3D models of established IPs. Like if you can see in this thumbnail, you see Harley Quinn and you see Finn from Adventure Time and the Ghostbusters thing. So yeah, that's what they're selling here but yeah, these are just new NFT based companies. To prove to you, to talk more about how valuable NFTs can be, even traditional brick and mortar businesses like GameStop can use the secondary market sales as a means to profit from a used digital space marketplace. So how this works is that in the past, GameStop were to sell their games, their customers could sell them back to GameStop and make a profit out of it. But using the secondary market example that I used before, GameStop can use NFTs by selling NFT tokenized games to customers. These games have, let's say, special unlockables. Or the owner can sell their used digital game for, let's say, 70% of full price, and 20% of that price goes back to GameStop, which is pretty cool. Imagine having a used digital market for you to buy cheaper games. I think that's a really cool and useful bit of technology, and I would definitely buy a used digital game. Now, the thing is, I believe that tech is far more useful than first glance because it has so many applications in many industries. I'm going to go into that a bit more, but now here's the big kicker. I believe that the technology, NFTs, which everyone is accusing of impacting their environment too much, NFT technology can be used for positively helping the environment reduce carbon emissions. Okay, so how does this happen? All right, so it helps something called the circular economy. To describe what the circular economy is, this is what Wikipedia describes it. You know, it's part of an economic system aimed at eliminating waste and continuing use and the continual use of resources. Blah blah blah. Okay, this is actually kind of confusing a bit, but I'll give you an example of what a circular economy is like. So I'll give you an example of the journey of a plastic bottle. So let's say right now, plastic bottles are made, they're bottled, they're shipped and transported, they're bought and consumed, and they're recycled. This is what everyone thinks the journey of a plastic bottle looks like. But the thing is, there's so many environmental problems of that bottle going from place to place. For instance, the bottler could be greenwashing their recycling. For instance, maybe they're not doing their recycling properly, or bottlers are not using recycled plastics, or are probably using water that comes from water-starved areas. Perhaps even a bottle may have been imported instead of being locally sourced, but being marketed as local. Or maybe the purchaser being you who normally drinks bottle, maybe you threw it in the trash instead of recycling it. That's an issue as well. Or maybe the recycling was not done locally and was shipped elsewhere to make recycling cheaper. So imagine you recycle something and they put it on a container to be shipped to another country, and it costs carbon to have it be recycled because they shipped it somewhere else. And this really interesting video by Wendover talks about how China used to accept recycling materials from other countries because it was so cheap before to recycle plastics in China. What they noticed that it was actually affecting their environment quite a lot, and they decided to just not take the Western world's recycling anymore. So they just stopped that whole practice altogether. Costs too much. So now, you know, they don't know what to do with the recycling. So it's actually far more complicated than just putting it into a recycling bin and you've saved the world. And this video talks about it, and it's very, very interesting video. I really recommend you watch it to understand how recycling is sort of broken. How do NFTs help the circular economy and the environment? Here's the thing. So when NFTs are tokenized, like when you have an NFT tokenized plastic bottle, it makes the entire journey more transparent. We are able to know exactly where our green products came from. We can also identify bad actors such as companies or individuals. So let's say a bottle of your favorite drink that you get, maybe they're doing something bad, or maybe you're the one who's doing something bad. You're the one who threw it in the ocean, and you know, with that NFT tokenized plastic bottle, the NFT, there's evidence that you bought it. You're the bad actor probably. The data from the NFTs will help companies make informed decisions to make the process cheaper and reduce the carbon emissions of their bottles. So yeah, I just want to make a really funny joke about this, like we can identify bad actors or companies and individuals.
Big brain time. If you want to trash NFTs, focus on privacy. Most NFTs are built on publicly available decentralized ledger of transactions. Imagine a world where your purchasing habits can be publicly governed and that information is available to anybody. Moreover, transactions cannot be removed from the system. If you think cell phone tracking is bad, crypto privacy is worse. Now imagine companies who sort that data with artificial intelligence. Lol.
Now, to discuss where I got this information from, NFTs, how it helps the circular economy, there are quite a few articles from, let's say, Sustainability Times or this one called the Balance SMB, how blockchain will change supply chain sustainability, and blockchain can be a vital tool to boost sustainability. And this is honestly, this is the real value of NFTs, and art is just, you know, one of the uses. I mean, some really cool, good uses of it is ensuring, like, say, donations like tents or canned foods that are minted with NFTs go to their intended location instead of being stockpiled by corrupt local entities. Maybe ensuring the authenticity of goods or replacement parts for transport that people rely on, for instance, cars, trucks, boats, or trains in unregulated countries. Now, I definitely want you to try and watch this video built on the barcode, because it'll help you understand how the barcode built the modern economy. But now imagine if the barcode had the NFT data on it. So that's how NFTs could be integrated into something as mundane as a label on a loaf of bread, for instance. That's pretty cool. I think that's the future of NFTs, not art, but this the most mundane thing ever. And here's the thing, NFT negative press will definitely slow down adoption of the tech to help make new jobs, like, say, ArtStation, or help make our economy more transparent and more environmentally sustainable. But before we go into why artists should take part in NFTs anyway, I just want to do a little promo. I'd like you to like the video, and just to describe why liking this video helps me or people like you, is that it lets the YouTube algorithm know that people like you care about topics like this. It also helps other guilty feeling artists to understand the full scenario. You know, while you're at it, if you have any artist friends out there who have questions about the environmental impacts or all the problems about NFTs, share this video with them. I'm sure they would like to know all the different sides of the pro environment or the pro crypto, or even how useful the technology will be in the future and how many jobs this will definitely give besides creatives, people in the future. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Hit the bell button, because I don't post quite often. And hit me up in the comments if you want to know more details or have more information or corrections about any of the information I put up here. I will definitely pin the most important information at the top. And if you have any concerns about NFTs or crypto art that you want cleared up, I'm pretty new at this, but as well, and I'm sure quite a lot of people out there are pretty new at this, because the space is quite new, and it's good that we share our information as much as possible. Maybe you have anything about crypto art, maybe let's say how to be successful in the crypto art world. And if I find any topics interesting, I'll pin to them. I'll definitely reply. I tend to reply to all my comments as much as I can. And finally, if you want to follow my Instagram channel, I'm about to drop some new art, more crypto art collabs. And if you want to see that, follow me on Instagram at Digital Addict. You can follow me on Twitter and I normally share what I find interesting in terms of art tech or even NFTs and crypto. Follow me there. And now back to the rest of the video. So in the final part of this video, I'm going to be talking about, should artists take part in NFTs anyway? And, this is really up to you. I mean, you've seen the information. I mean, right now, the environmental costs might be too much, but hey, both sides do have a point, I'm not going to tell you that you should take part, but maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. That's really up to you. You're an adult, you can decide. But in this one, I'm going to argue, should artists take part in NFTs anyway, despite all those problems? Well, I'm not really asking you to ignore the problems. I just wanted to highlight all of the problems to you. It's not a black and white problem, actually. There are so many different levels of gray. I'm not asking you to ignore problems, but maybe you should think about NFTs anyway, because the main thing is the technology is not going to go away because it's far too useful. And as an artist, we are extremely lucky that one of the first uses, the next big tech thing, is in art. That's pretty crazy to me. Now, if you were to explain how crazy this is, NFTs or crypto economy, so the previous next big things, the most recent example I could think of is in the late 2000s, early 2010s, when smartphone app stores came about. Like, so many new jobs came out from that, right? Like Uber or mobile phone game developers. So much more jobs came out of that previous next big thing. In the 90s, the internet came about, Amazon, eBay, all those companies. In the 80s, personal computers. And the thing is, maybe, I don't know if NFTs are the next big thing, but it definitely is a big but boring innovation, in my opinion. It just looks sexy right now because it's connected to art. But before this NFT hype in art came about, it was actually a boring technology. And if you've seen the circular economy, the description of how crypto can help the circular economy, it's actually quite boring when you look at the information over there. It's a stupid boring. And I think NFTs is actually more of a boring piece of technology, because I think of NFTs more as a barcode or my previous example, which was a title or deed for a piece of land. That's what an NFT is at the end of the day. If you're really still feeling guilty about NFTs environmental effects, here's something to think about. If there were no pro-environmental artists on NFTs, there would be no one to influence or to pressure to make positive environmental change. Here, I would advocate that you should probably get into NFTs, because the only way for you to make a positive change is to make a change from the inside. No one's going to listen to someone who has no influence on NFTs, about NFTs. For instance, artists such as Beeple can make art that highlights the environmental problems. Now, I don't advocate that you go bugging Beeple, because he's also quite new to this as well. The NFT art is quite a new thing. Probably he doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds him just yet, but arguably he's just like you and me. He's trying to figure out what's next, what's next for him as an artist, because he's trying to get in stride as he's now the established artist, and he gets lots of press coverage, which can be overwhelming for many artists who are, let's say, most artists are just used to working in their art in solitude, and I don't recommend blaming him, bugging him just yet about this. Let him get used to it. If more artists are into NFTs, I would definitely like us to advocate for more pro artist features to the system, such as making it easier for artists to collaborate to split profits. And here's the thing, artists who have made it big do good as well in an NFT space. And I'm going to go back to Beeple as an example, because he gave away one of 5,000 pieces as a giveaway, and that person was offered $350,000 by an art investor immediately. So if you've been following, and this is a really example of artists doing good for social good for people out there. And hey, maybe you'd like to change the perception of crypto for the masses, so that misinformation about the technology just does not lead to negative laws that will hurt the ability of everyone to positively benefit from it in the future. And here's the main thing. I recommend that you set some money aside, like say $250, to experiment on NFT.
If you live in a country where the first minting funds are too high due to your local exchange rate, and you live in Southeast Asia, try out www.firstmintfund.com. You can apply to have your first mint donated to you. Alternatively, you can donate to the fund as well. If you're looking for a cheaper marketplace alternative, you can try esetnunk.zai, which lets you trade in Tezos cryptocurrency. It is much more affordable.
And if you fail, that's fine. It's better to have failed, rather than kicking yourself later in the future saying, I could have done something if I just started. Maybe you might do great in the NFT space, whether you're going to be an artist like people, or maybe involved as a creative in one of these new businesses. Wherever you fall, I recommend you at least learn more about NFTs and crypto as much as you can, so that you can benefit from it in the future in some way, because honestly, it's going to be the next smartphone